Hi, once again I'm Sydney, and I am the author of From Whence Cometh Intelligence, Humanity's Inflection Point, and I wanted to give a real quick synopsis. I'm hoping to keep this maybe under 10 minutes so we can get so that you out there can get a real comprehensive, sense of what this is about, right? It basically is, through robotics and AI and all that stuff, I kind of recognize that you could not, this whole theory of, of us, of life, that came after, so Charles Darwin basically recognized evolution. These naturalists came in and they put in all this stuff. That's just wrong. It's just wrong, right? They started with this thing of, random, and something crawled out of this primordial soup. Well, the truth be told, if something did, it would not be able to see, it would not be able to hear, it couldn't feel. It probably wouldn't have a sense of direction. It probably crawled right back into that primordial soup. Well, that didn't happen, okay? For the simple reason that the first thing you have to do to make anything autonomous and animated, you have to build sensors. So in our case, plants and animals, we had to build a sensory system, right? And to build any sensor as part of the whole sensory system, and to detect light, sound, taste and smell are really really difficult because you have to know the properties of all these chemicals that exist all around us. So to build that sensory system, you need intelligence. So the first thing is you have to understand the stimuli. The next thing, you have to find a material that doesn't just go on off, but can detect like colors, bright, light, small pressure, big, high pressure, all that stuff. So you have to find a material. And the third thing is you have to wire it up. All these things are wired together, right? We can see, hear, smell, taste, all these things together. And the sensor does not perform the action to change things, right? The sensor in your eye, put a bright light in your eye does not, the sensor doesn't close your eye, it sends a signal somewhere. Same as if you have something hot against your skin, the sensor in your skin does not move your hand, it has to send that signal, then something else says, oh, move that muscle too. See? So it has to be wired up. You have to understand it, find a material to build it, and then you have to wire them all up. That could not happen, and that has happened before. Before you build the first cell, the first animal or plant, you had to build that. Okay? So what we see now is something, really supreme intelligence to build a sensory system. We see proof of that with DNA, because it built sensory system, apply it to plants, apply it to animals. Plants, they can detect water, they can detect light, all those things. So the sensory system is, we see that had to be built. We also see this intelligence built DNA, and so expressed within the DNA is basically the rules for the form of all things, right? So everything has DNA, and the DNA holds that code as to what it is, and a lot of information about that. So this is the inspiration that led to, would that level of intelligence build a million different things to control these things? And when I say control, that's autonomous, self-control. So it doesn't have to be tweaking. This is not a robot with a line and we just moving a controller. No, you build this is where we are now. We can build autonomous programs. So we can see that intelligence built, and this is what, kind of takes this logical thing and puts it back into real old school, where all these tribes and stuff somehow got the same notion. That intelligence built this sensory system, built DNA, built one super intelligent program. And you'll be like, how does that work? Well, I'll tell you. This is why I had all this training and all this stuff. This one program, and we don't have that program as yet. We are not there yet. This one program would look at the DNA and say, it says, oh, you are an ant. And not only are you an ant, you are this species, and maybe even this within the hierarchy of ants. And so that program now dictates the behavior, this which we see as instincts, whether it's in a spider, a tree, because they all have DNA. The same program, super intelligent. It's as if, I'll give you a simplified version that everybody can understand. It's, imagine we had that kind of program. We can build that one program, have it in a drone, a car, and a refrigerator. The program would look at the configuration and say, oh, you are a drone, because I can see by your configuration that you are a drone. Oh, and you are a drone that have propellers, so you are capable of vertical liftoff. See? The same program, another drone will say, oh no, you need to have a runway, because the program looks at the configuration. Similarly, this super advanced program which can reside in all of us, and some people want to use it at the brain. No, this resides there before the brain. How does an egg know how to form a chicken, a person? How does a caterpillar go into a butterfly consistently? It does not randomly turn into different things. It always goes from this egg into this caterpillar. The knowledge of the butterfly to put it on that tree, that program, again, it's like, no, I know you are this butterfly, this is, and so this thing I will go into a lot in my book, but my next book. But what is important is that it brings us back to this very, very, intriguing concept that we've heard about from some of these, out there, I don't want to call them religions, but customs, where they basically say that we are connected to everything around us. See, we have DNA, we have the sensors, and we would have the same program that runs in all life forms. All living things would have the same program. That program is so intelligent. And again, it exists before there's a brain, right? Because again, directing an egg to form an adult of the species, or an infant of the species, or like I said in things like metamorphosis, or even directing a bear to hibernate at some point, or animals to change colors, right, based on the temperature and the seasons. All of that, you can see this super intelligent program built by the creator of DNA, the creator of the senses. But that same program can reside in all living things. It's the why when we go out into nature, we can feel a oneness. We can, it gives us energy, because we are all, and this is, when you think about it, it does make sense. Super intelligence, we would not. Right now, each company builds its own thing, but eventually, maybe 50 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, because right now we are about fighting and killing each other, okay? Because we've taken all these little cultural things and say, well, we're so different. But when we look at it, the true enlightenment would enable, like the systems we see, the ecosystem that's adjust automatically as something, we have some animal with no predators, it overfeeds, overgrazes, and we have a collapse. Then it comes back up. So things are in balance. And some people don't like it. They're like, well, make it this way. Well, your system, or a system that I would design, would fail. We have systems that work because they are designed to be self-sustaining. It's kind of like what we do with most things around us, where we build plastics and we chuck it out there. We create so much, so much garbage that we basically take it from one country and dump it on others. We pollute, we do all this stuff because we're not there yet. This is the kind of intelligence that can build a sensory system, build one database, DNA, and build this one sophisticated program that runs autonomously within all of us. And that is basically what the instrumentation of life is about. So now that you understand it, right, you have three things: the senses, the database, I call it DNA database, and this one program which connects all of us, not just a brotherhood of mankind. Now we're connected to everything around us, because the same program could be running throughout us. And this is not, I'm not trying to be dogmatic, but this is a logical deduction based on what we observe, right? We know that there is one, the DNA structure. We look at the sensory system, and people say just have, just the see, smell, hear, that sort of thing. But there are chemical sensors firing throughout us. And something in the medical field will say, well, this automatic, no, something has to direct it. That sense, that sending of that chemical signal, the detecting of that chemical signal would all be under that autonomous program. It would know at this time, for instance, like animals that become mature, and within a certain season they realize this is that. It's almost like that go forth and multiply thing, where the animals recognize at this time, I want to pass on my genes. You see all the changes that happen, right? Across that species. Think about it, that one program, it knows you are this. Like I give it many examples, that deer fawn that lays there. That program says you are a young bear, and I have given you, or I have, you do not have a scent, so do not be scared of that bear that's looking for you. You just stay there until your mother shows up. So it directs that deer to just lie there, even though there's a tractor that's going to run it over, unfortunately. But it directs that. Mouth brood of fish, the parent, all these things that the parent, holding the young in his mouth and then releasing them when the danger is gone. All of these things, fish changing sexes as needed. All of these things, this program, super intelligent program, is totally capable of that. So again, you've got it. The sensory system had to be developed probably before DNA, or at the same time. I mean, super intelligence could do that. It says, I need a sensory system, I need a DNA, and I need this super program. Develop those three, put it out there, and that would account for all life. All life. Show me an example, throughout evolution, everything that we see fits. This fits everything, and it also connects us for the future. Maybe we're not there yet, but going forward, this is what can bring us all together. Not just mankind, but in harmony with nature, because we recognize the Creator, we recognize His great design, nature being the manifestation of His omnipotence. So again, I wanted to keep this kind of short. I think you get the idea of what I've been inspired to develop this instrumentation of life theory. So I want to thank you for taking the time to viewing this, and until next time, may that great Creator continue to bless us all. Thank you very much.